Hi, welcome to my next video on a smarter way to code. That is, how to use ChatGPT and Visual Studio Code. ChatGPT is a large language model developed by OpenAI based on GPT-3 architecture. It is designed to understand natural language and generate human-like responses to text-based conversation. Now, ChatGPT can be used for a variety of applications, including customer service, personal assistants, chatbots, and language translation. ChatGPT can assist for the programmers with the coding task by answering specific questions or providing suggestions for code implementations. Programmers can ask ChatGPT for help with syntax or develop algorithms or other programming concepts. In today's short video, let us understand how to configure ChatGPT with Visual Studio Code and use it while programming for various tasks assigned to us. To start with, let us try to understand how ChatGPT with Visual Studio can help you for programming. First thing is, it can help you to explain the code which is already written. You can mark the code which is already developed by someone else or by you in the recent past and make the chat GPT to explain the code what it is. It is very useful for quickly understanding the code which are written by the others. That's the main benefit. Next thing, it Ch- ChatGPT can be used for refactoring a code. You can use the existing code, refactor the code, and then see what are all got changed over a period of time. Say for example, you have a code. Assume that if it is poorly written or requires either modernization or optimization, ChatGPT can helpful to you to understand the existing code and then suggest what are the changes are required. Say for example, if there are any deprecated construct or functions or built-in function that need to be replaced with a new one for which ChatGPT can be used. By this way, you can rebuild the code in line with the modern constructs. Third important one, find issues. Assume you have written a code or someone have written the code, or let us assume that you are reviewing someone's code. You can use ChatGPT to find the problems with the code, and it can also helpful to you to fix those problems and then explain you what is wrong with the code. It is very useful for doing a code review very quickly. And the fourth important one, optimization. Assume the code is written. If you want to optimize the code in terms of memory consumption, in terms of number of lines of code, or the execution speed, for which you can ask for suggestion from ChatGPT. This is useful for the programmers to improve the code before submitting it for the QA review. Finally, the biggest task the programmer face, which include documentation. ChatGPT helpful to you to perform documentation of the selected code. So it is very useful to complete documentation for preparing technical documentation, something like a code flow or important key construct or API documentation, something like that. So these are the benefits, and we are going to see a live demo on how to configure ChatGPT with VS Code and then use a sample code in such a way that, and then I will run through these five important benefits that we can leverage using ChatGPT. Now let's start how to configure ChatGPT. Let's launch the Visual Studio Code. I am already in Visual Studio Code and I have my projects is shown here. I created some sample code for demonstration purpose. Now, what you have to do is you should have to click on this extension to get to know about what are the extensions which are available. So when you click on the extension, it shows two things which is already installed. I'm going to bring up the chart GPT here. So I'm looking for write and improve code. The main reason why I typed this string is it will bring you the right code GPT inside the Visual Studio Code. There are tons of code GPT extensions are all created, so I'm trying to find the right one. So I use this string. So I just browsed to that and installed it. The next step is I need to configure it. Go to the file preferences and settings. Here I need to search for the code GPT where I need to configure the code GPT inside the Visual Studio Code. To bring up code GPT inside the Visual Studio Code, I need a valid API key. You can click on this Open API. That will bring up a pop-up window, which I am not showing it here. It will go to this URL where you have to use your personal or any official email ID to get connected to Open API, where you can generate API key. You can generate multiple number of API key as per your requirement. Whatever the API keys are all generated, it's all listed it into that Open API. You just copy and paste one of the API key there and keep the remaining stuff as is. There is no need to change any of them. Say for example, paste on click, you can enable it so that you can bring up the suggested code it into the Visual Studio Code editor. So I'm keeping the rest of the stuff as it is. And now what I will be doing is let me go to my project folder. Let me pick up any source file, right click it. You can see various options available here. This is what we are going to see how to use this option in the next slide. Let's see how to use ChatGPT inside Visual Studio Code by going through some sample code. I have explained to you the 5 different ways by which you can use ChatGPT inside Visual Studio Code in my first slide. Now let's get into the details. So I have created some sample code inside my Visual Studio Code projects or solution. If you look here, it's a plain HTML file. For easy understanding, I created a simple table with a couple of rows inside that. So I'm right click and then explain the selection. So you can select as a whole or you can select a part of the code. So it provide you a very decent explanation of the code. Like it's a HTML table consisting of 2 columns with a title like name, age, and then the contents inside that. So this is the best way to explain the code. The second one is I have created another HTML file containing the same thing, except I created an empty table row. Now I am selecting all the code and then opting for refactor the selection. So here if you look into that, tr is unnecessary, the last tr. So what it does is it understands the first row as a table header like name and age and made a change like table header th that is replaced it with the td with the th and the last tr is removed, and so it's a pretty decent way of refactoring the code. Now let's see another example. Same table, but I have a table inside a table, which is not necessary. Or the best way to handle it, you create a tr inside that you can create a table. Okay, so now I am selecting all the stuff and then asking the chat GPT to find the problems. Having a table inside the table, what are the issues are there? So as per the document type definition, it is expecting a closing tag for the table. The second one is it should have to be replaced with a table tr and td. That is what it is expecting. So it provide the problems in the code like the one whatever you are seeing here. And the let's pick up the another example. I have the same HTML code, but I have a script here. Okay, a small and simple script to add two numbers. Okay, and I also purposefully introduce a end HTML tag ahead of the script close tag. So I'm asking the ChatGPT to find out and the ways to optimize it. It doesn't find any optimization. However, I'm trying to find the problem because we have a end tag slash HTML ahead of the script tag. It correctly find out all the problems whatever there in the current HTML. If you look here, it is suggesting for HR tag should have to be removed. The script tag should be moved inside the body tag, the closing HTML tag, all the issues that it finds it. You can click on that corrected code and bring up that corrected code on the your editor, like the one whatever shown here. So whatever it suggests on the code GPT side, you just click on that, you can bring the code here. The next one is write documentation. If you look here, I selected a HTML piece of code and forcing ChatGPT to write a documentation. So what does it is? It says that it's a simple code snippet containing a HTML table with the two columns like name and age, and it neatly document the information and also provide example data. Well, this is how you can make use of ChatGPT inside Visual Studio Code. I picked up only simple HTML file for explanation. You can use it for any programming language, right from .NET to Java to Angular JS, any programming language, whatever the stuff that you can use inside the Visual Studio Code, you can use ChatGPT so that you can easily find out the problem, uh, optimize the problem, and also you can use to suggest something like write a simple JavaScript with an alert statement. So code snippets can be borrowed or it can be made available by making use of ChatGPT. So you can ask the code snippets from code GPT and make use of them very effectively. Well, my suggestion is if you are a decent programmer, you can make use of ChatGPT very effectively. But don't try to use ChatGPT for everything. At least you should have to know the code constraint, code flow, design of the code, or the approach towards the code. Then you start exploring, you making use of ChatGPT in your project. So that's a short video, and I would like to close my today video with that one. I hope this short video is helpful for you for your programming purpose. If you like this video, please go ahead and subscribe it, and we will meet with a new topic in a day or two. Till then, stay safe and bye now.